Welcome, Blue Believers, to another episode of the Stamford Sync, where we are syncing up with everything Chelsea FC. And Chelsea fans, like you, I'm hurting. And you know what? I decided I don't want to hurt on my own, so I've dragged in Kai from behind the dugouts to come and hurt along with me. Kai, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. Doing all things non-Chelsea related. I'm doing all right.
Yeah. Life's all right, isn't it, man? Life's all right, except for the football.
It's tough, man.
It's tough. It's tough. So we're gonna go through quite a lot of different stuff today. So there is some rumours indicating that Maresca is potentially looking for a way out. How the sources for those aren't hugely credible, but I want to talk about that combined with some of the most recent news about Maresca and what's come out, and see how this could start to make sense. I also want to do, and this is the main reason I've got you along, a bit of a tactical deep dive into how Maresca actually plays with the team that we've got and why that might be hurting our chances a little bit, especially when it comes to scoring goals and strikers. So before we get into the statty stuff, let's get into the vibes, right? And the vibes are Maresca wants out. So I've seen mostly, I clocked this from other content creators initially. Now I've looked for sources. There's not a huge amount of sources, but there is some source somewhere that has got content creators across TikTok and YouTube to start talking about Maresca apparently wanting to resign. And it just feels like, if this does happen, it was written in the stars from the moment he came out in that press conference at Everton, wasn't it? That was like the beginning of the cracks, and things haven't really gotten any better since then. There was obviously came out with the comments in the press conference, and then a few days later, David Ornstein leaked the Man City news, which he'd actually been sat on for a while as well, and obviously that was connected beforehand with Pep Guardiola coming out and randomly lavishing Enzo Maresca with praise about being a world-class manager. But do world-class managers only win 2 games in 8, potentially 9, and what is it, 1 Premier League game in our last 6? So I just want to get your opinion on what do you think about the Maresca rumour, because I will stress that it is a rumour, and do you think that it makes sense combined with everything else that's been going on?
Yeah, I would probably say it does kind of make sense from a Maresca point of view. Now, would I blame him? Look, it's no easy job coming into a team like Chelsea or anything like that. It's always going to be tough, and it's a lot tougher now than it was under Roman. We all know that.
For sure.
What you've got to do, what you've got to deal with. So I get that. But where's the balls, man? If this is true, and he is, again, like you said, it's a rumour, we don't know if it's 100% true, and of course things are going to come out like this during a really dodgy period. It's either going to be the owners want to sack him, which we've already heard, that he's on the thin line. The rumour is that they could be reviewing it, and now it's, he actually wants to leave, he wants to resign. So of course it's going to come out in this kind of period, so it's expected. If it's true, going gets tough, you jump ship.
That's the thing, innit,
that
man?
I can't get on board with.
No, not at all. And I guess even the reason I'm even entertaining this, because like I say, this is not a substantiated report or something. This has come from somewhere that has got content creators talking about it, so I just thought I'd put my oar in. It speaks to a problem that I've had with Maresca for quite a long time, and it's about personality and character, isn't it? Like, even for me, a lot of people praised Maresca when he came out and complained in the Everton thing about not being supported, and I'm like, bro, you're losing games and drawing against people that you're not doing well. So it kind of makes sense. Real Madrid would have sacked you by now. Do you know what I mean? Roman would have sacked you by now. That's the absolute truth, isn't it? So it's like Roman 100% would have sacked him by that point. Maresca wouldn't have lasted 10 minutes under Roman, man. Do you know what I mean? If he can't, if there are rumblings of him not being happy, and if this is all a response to him finding out as well that, his job might be on the line and he hasn't just got perfect security regardless of the terrible results. At the end of the day, comparatively, we are right now on exactly the same points as Man United, and Ruben Amorim had a terrible season. Do you know what I mean? It's like no one's happy with him. So Do you know what I mean? And he's getting a lot of support from Man United, don't get me wrong, but they're in a much worse position than we are in overall. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, for me, like you said it, man, the pressure, like, bros, like, Chelsea's like one of the biggest clubs in the world, and there's going to be pressure. If it's under Roman, if it's under Bluco, wherever you are, there's going to be pressure. And if you can't handle that pressure, which is currently being shown in the things that he's saying, the things that he's doing, and the games themselves, the games are showing that he can't handle the pressure.
We've heard, and the PR's been put through, that the stipulations for this season was top 4 and decent cup run. Now, I could have been making the decent cup run part up because that's like a bare minimum, but that's what the stipulations are. So he's not been asked to win the Champions League, if that's the case. He's not been asked to win the league or win a cup, just to have a good run and to get top 4 so we can be in the Champions League. Asked me that 5-6 years ago. That's not Chelsea pressure.
No.
To just get top 4 and not win anything? That's not Chelsea pressure. So if he's crumbling, and again, to stipulate, we don't know if it's true, it's just a rumour, but if he is crumbling at what you would consider the bare minimum pressure at a club like Chelsea, how is he going to take it when, let's say, next season, if he's still here, and for some miracle, the direction of the club and the way that we do business changes and it allows us to push for titles and things like that, and they go, okay, this season, because we've given you what you wanted, you've done it this way, go win the title, go win the Champions League. How's he going to cope with that pressure? Because it's going to be a lot worse. That's
the thing, innit? That's the thing, man. It's like, can you imagine if we give that, like I say, I know a lot of people are defending Maresca about it, but just look at the results, man. Look at the results. Like, if you give Maresca what he wants, if Maresca can't comfortably be in the top 4 with the squad he's got now, albeit being second in December, exactly the same thing that happened last year, by the way. If we do give him what he wants, that centre-back, that striker, that midfielder or whatever, is that going to make the difference? Because it's looking like, and the thing is, it's not even just about the rumour. Like, I think we can have the pressure conversation about him struggling with the pressure outside of the rumours that he wants to resign or whatever. Like I say, the fact that he came out in the press and said what he did means that he obviously struggles with the pressure, because if he was indicated to at all that his job was on the line if he didn't improve his results, he came out and said that in the press. That's because he can't deal with the pressure. Do you know what I mean? He can't use that to turn results around on the pitch, which is what football is about, which is what he needs to be able to do. The results in themselves show he's under a lot of pressure at the moment because, that's come out. The fans are unhappy. Do you know what I mean? And if anything, it's like him coming out and what he said is definitely emboldened a lot of the fans that want to take aim at the owners and the sporting directors. And I don't disagree with that either. The thing is, like, I'll get this out of the way now because we are mostly going to talk about Maresca. I don't love the model, and obviously there are holes in the team, and obviously there's a huge amount of mistakes that the owners have made. So I'm going to do a video at some point in the future. I've made a list of every single signing that we've made under Bluco so far, when Todd Bowley signed them at the start up until everything we've signed now. And I've basically given them all categories like flop, asset, which was someone that was never meant to be bought for the team. They were just bought so we could sell them on for profit. Okay, players that have done all right, and players that have been a success, right? So there's kind of 4 main categories. And I'm not going to lie to you, man, the majority of the players that we've bought are flops or assets. That's hands down the truth. Do you know what I mean? In the last few years, we have only bought a handful of players that are elites. But that all of those players are in the team. Do you know what I mean? We haven't bought any of these elite players and moved them on or whatever at the end of the day. So I don't have to love what the owners are doing, but at the end of the day, like I say, this is about Maresca, and that's the thing, man. Is that the truth is that the results that we've been having, we should have been getting better results than these, and I don't put the results on the fact that he didn't get bought that centre back that he wanted when he's not using some of the centre backs that are available to him throughout the season anyway. And as we're going to get onto soon, the striker situation as well. We saw at the start of the season, when they were fresh to the team, Liam Delap and João Pedro were both scoring goals, and now they are both really, really struggling too. At this point, they were free at the start, weren't they? There wouldn't have been a huge amount of coaching when they initially came in. It would have been like, right, just kind of play your game. You know, we haven't got time to get into the nitty-gritty of the tactics yet because we're in the middle of the Club World Cup, and then we've got pre-season straight after, and they were scoring through those. So, you know, there's some conversations to be had about there that I think Maresca should be getting more out of the strikers, and I think we've hit on a pretty good reason why he hasn't, been getting so, and we'll get on to that in a minute. But yeah, man, it's like, if you can't handle the pressure of this December, is this what it's going to be like with Maresca every single December? Are we just going to lose loads of games? Are we going to have to spend the rest of the season desperately needing to get points against the likes of Man City and Arsenal because we've dropped points against relegation fodder? Like, if that's where we are, I don't know, man. It's just a bit of a mess, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. You know, we can't turn up against the likes of the Barcelonas and 10 men against Arsenal and Liverpool just before they went on this massive dip, but not been able, or say the team is not good enough, like you said, to beat a Fulham, to beat a Bournemouth, to beat a Sunderland. I'm sorry, the players that we have may not be good enough for the title, and that's what we all want.
Yeah,
but they're definitely and should be good enough to at least be in top four comfortably and not draw and lose these games. You wouldn't even consider it.
No.
It just doesn't make sense. And football is, it is that kind of game. You get these sort of miracle results and things that don't make sense. But when you're at a team like Chelsea, these kind of results, they're not acceptable.
I think... Yeah, go on.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah,
we
so
can talk
what
about the owners and stuff and the sporting directors.
Yeah.
The overarching problem is that.
Yeah, for sure.
In terms of the start, and then it trickles down. But at the end of the day, the job of the manager is to improve the players that he's got. And I can probably name a few on my hand who's improved, and if anything, the team is getting worse. And I think we spoke about this on the Blue Lounge, like right at the beginning of the season when we were going through, again, a similar period and we were losing to Man United. And I said, to me, his management style and the way that he's handling the games and the players has regressed from last season. And we are getting worse, which doesn't make sense because he's now a year on or having a year of experience. And the tinkering has become excessive. Yeah,
it's excessive. That's a really good sideline, actually, into a couple of pages I've got to share on our little conversation today. So, what you basically just said is about regression, right? So, we're going to have a little look categorically at what this regression looks like. So, what we have here is last season's league table after 19 games. All right, so Matchday, this is a Premier League website. Premier League after 19 games. Chelsea are in 4th place. 10 wins, 5 draws, 4 losses, 38 goals, 23 goals conceded, a goal difference of 15, 35 points, and a really good run of form at this point. 4 wins in 5 and only 1 loss there. And you can also see that the area that we're in and around, it was still quite tight last season as well. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, like where we are now, 5th to kind of 8th, it was about as tight last season as it was this season as well. So comparatively, let's compare that to this season. So this season, after 19 games in the Premier League, Chelsea have only won 8 games. So we've won 2 less games. We've drawn 6, which is 1 more, and we've lost 5, which is 2 more, 1 more, 2 more, 1 more. Goals for, 32 goals. So we've scored 6 less goals than last season. Goals against, we've actually conceded 2 less. So make of that what you will. Goal difference 11. So we've scored 4 less goals than we've conceded compared to last season. And our form is a lot worse at this same point in the season. Draw, win, draw, loss, draw. So 3 draws, 1 win and 1 loss. And last season, all 3 of those draws were win at the same time. So we're 5 points further back than we were last season. And like I said, this area that we're in is just about as tight as it was, but I think the top three are pulling away a bit. Oh, and actually, Liverpool were 45 points. That's just like, that is regression categorically. Do you know what I mean? That is regression categorically. And there are some things to talk about which seem really obvious reasons why we're conceding. Well, we're not conceding more goals, but so the issue is actually not even that our defence is bad, it's that our attack is worse. So if you look at the stats, we've scored 6 less goals than we did last season. That can maybe be attributed to someone like Nicholas Jackson not being there, but, you know, we can obviously have a conversation about that. But what I think this leads us into now is to talk about why our attack isn't as good as it was last season. And personally, before we proper get into it, I think in a nutshell, Enzo Maresca was more adaptable last season than he was this season. And this season, more so, he seems to be a bit more dogged in his tactical philosophy. And that might be something to do with having, I mean, we've got better wingers this season than last season, I guess, if you think about it. Madueke, flattered to deceive. Mudryk and Sancho were not good. Pedro Neto was kind of working his way up, wasn't he? So you've got something to share for us, Kai, as well, haven't you? And I would like to get your tactical insight as to what is going on with Chelsea's attack this season.
Fucking everything, mate.
Yeah.
Everything.
Or nothing, as the case may be.
Everything and nothing. Yeah, so this is, what'd you say, kind of like a heat map, in a sense, of the areas of the pitch that we are the most dominant in.
Yeah.
With the purple being sort of our main kind of areas in this sense of where we're dominating the most, and you can clearly see the wings, the middle of the park in this area, but an area that is dominated more by the opposition team in the pink, and sort of the grey is contested. This is the most important part of the pitch, man. This is where you win games.
Yeah.
And as you can see, we don't do F all there.
No.
And this could be contributed to the strikers. You know, we're definitely lacking in terms of quality in that side. I suppose you could put it down to the wingers. So we know for a fact that Maresca's part of his tactical business, his job is to play the ball out to the wing, hence why we're so, heavily dominant in those kind of areas, right side, left side. And that will be for the wingers cutting in, getting crosses, cutbacks. Garnacho would like to do a lot of those. But the problem being, and it sort of leads me into the strikers, because this is an area that has not just we've lacked in this season.
Yeah.
I think we can probably count the last 4, 5, 6, 7, going so far back, how many seasons we've really struggled with a top quality striker.
Yeah.
And we know they're going to cost money, but if you take the money out of it, the reason a lot of our strikers, at least from my perspective, struggle, is because of where they're coming from, the teams that they're coming from. And I know we can go out and get an Osman and things like that, but one of the things, apart from the cost, obviously, if you want the best player, you've got to spend the big bucks. We know that, and the money is going up every season. It's inflation. It hits everyone, even football.
Yeah.
But with the top strikers, and what we're seeing a lot, and something that we really struggle with, is the low blocks. Now, a lot of these top strikers, the likes of Osmans and things like that, the Harry Kanes, the Erling Haalands, they are used to playing against low blocks because every other team that they're going to come up against is going to try and shut them out.
Yeah.
Because of their quality, because of the teams they're playing for. Obviously, Erling Haaland playing for a City. Of course, you're not going to play toe-to-toe. You're going to try and shut them out as best as possible, low block. And we see it all the time when they come against us. So they are experienced in playing those low blocks. When we go to the likes of an Ipswich to get a Liam Delap, or a Brighton to get a João Pedro, these are mid-table to lower-end side. Even Jackson, where did he come from? Seville?
It was Villarreal, I think.
Villarreal?
Yeah.
Those teams, generally, when they're going to go up against, whether they'll go up against a Chelsea or they'll go up against a middle of the table team or a lower end of the team, they're not going to come up against a low block. So they're going to have space to operate. So they're going to be used to operating in this kind of area. They're not going to come up against a team where they've got 11 players behind the ball here. You're probably going to get your 4 back four and maybe the odd midfielder in this area to help defend. So they're going to be used to having the space. They're going to work on the counter. And that's how they operate. But then when you take them out of that kind of environment and you move them into an environment like Chelsea, where now you've got 11 players behind the ball, you've got no space to operate. We're not playing on the counter. We're now playing possession-based football. We are dominant. We are in control.
Yeah.
These players are not used to it, and they don't seem to be able to adapt to it. And that's why you have to go out and spend the money on the strikers, not just because of their name, but because of where they're playing, the experience that they have gained. And that's why you pay top draw.
So I have a question. So obviously my eyes are just drawn to this pink area in the opposition box where the opposition is dominant and we are basically really struggling to get involved in that area at all. And obviously the other thing is the fork that splits off to either wing. Is there or is there not an argument to say that if Maresca wanted to, he could change his tactics slightly to spend a bit less time on the wings and to try and get the ball more central through the middle of the pitch, which, get balls for Liam Delap to run onto and stuff like that? Is it purely Liam Delap's not good enough to play against or isn't experienced in playing a team against a low block? Or is there a conversation to be had about Maresca's tactics also making it more difficult for the likes of Liam Delap to do what he's good at?
Well, there's a question for you. Who's the best player in our team?
Cole Palmer.
Where does he operate?
In the middle. Yeah.
So we don't use the part of the pitch where our best player is operating.
Yeah, that's true.
And this is part of the reason why he probably looks so frustrated.
Yeah.
It's probably part of the reason why we're not seeing as much, or the stats aren't rolling in from what he was doing under the lights of Poch, where he had a bit more freedom. Even last season, he was still getting in these pockets of spaces. He was still creating things. We just weren't putting them away. But we're not operating based on this map in this area enough.
Yeah.
And then you've got the argument, right? So if we are so dominant on the wings, and this is our tactical approach to play down the wing, why not go for top quality wingers? This is your key component in how your team operates.
Yeah.
Why are we going? You've got the likes of Esteval, who could be special, man. I mean, what he did against Bournemouth, he's the only player that could probably walk away with his head held high in that game.
He looked great.
He
looked
unreal.
So good. Yeah. He just looked like he really wanted it as well.
Exactly, he showed the hunger, the fire, what we all want. Pedro Neto, he's done better this season than he did last season, but still expect more. Then you've got the likes of Jamie Gittins, nothing. Garnacho, not really doing anything. So our whole left side basically is non-existent.
So
we've got no quality and depth.
So kind of what you're getting at then is largely this is the fault of the sporting directors and the owners for not giving Maresca the tools, which is a big argument that lots of Chelsea fans make.
In terms of how the team operates and the tactics of Maresca's tactical approach, the wings, yes. Now, then you move back in your manager's head. You haven't been given the right tools or the best tools to do the job that you want to do. Do you be stubborn and keep trying to play the same way with your not so best players, or do you take a tactical switch and now try and go through the middle and operate with what is one of the best players in the league? Find a way to go through the middle. We'll see more from João Pedro because he will play off the likes of Palmer. How many times have we seen Palmer run past the striker and the striker drops in, he then run past him and basically becomes the striker? We don't see that anymore. Why? Because we don't play that way. We don't allow it to happen. And even when it happens on the rare occasion in the games, nobody's looking for it. Because the instructions are to play wide, get it out to the wings, let them go 1v1, let them isolate their fullbacks, see if they can get across. Again, then you argue, why are our strikers not getting into this area of the pitch? So João Pedro, we know, is a 9/10. What does he love to do? drop deep, get involved in the play.
Yeah.
Pointless having a winger out here on the ball crossing in when you've got your striker dropping into the midfield area. Pointless.
Even Liam Delap though, I noticed, like, and this is all going to be manager's tactical instruction. Like, all of a sudden, the last few times I've seen him, he just seems to desperately want to get wide and put crosses in. Have you noticed that Liam Delap is not even really playing? Like, he's trying to almost be Nicholas Jackson. Do you know what I mean? Rather than being what he is, which is like a penalty box guy. Do you know what I mean? And this is kind of what I don't get as well. Is like, we have lots of success getting the ball on the wing because we always see Pedro Neto and Alejandro Garnacho with it. But I don't understand if we with the rest of the players we've got vis-a-vis Liam. If anything, Liam Delap is probably the best suited for that idea, is he not? Like, I obviously I don't get it the way Maresca gets it, but if you're going to get the ball out wide and your wingers aren't cutting in, because you can see that obviously there's those two spots outside the pink are contested areas, and there's even an opposition dominant area on the right as well, so they're not like cutting in, getting up and cutting in. They are constantly just trying to cross it and cutbacks. Okay, maybe. Do you know what I mean? You can run from deep and get a cutback, but that area again is being kind of blocked off by the opposition. So I just don't really understand the thought process behind it, man. And obviously Maresca is a much more intelligent manager than I am. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
and I'm
course,
sure there's
this is all, it's speculation. You look at it through a fine-tooth comb, but at the end of the day, we're not the manager. We will never be able to truly understand what he's actually instructing. But what you've got here is a picture that's painted in beautiful colour.
Yeah, lovely.
As to where we operate the most, and we are operating at what you would say is our weaker outlet in terms of where the most quality is.
Yeah,
i.e. Cole Palmer, who situates in the middle, and that's one of the arguments people have. Let's play him out on the right.
Yeah,
for me personally, I much prefer Palmer in the 10.
Yeah,
and
same.
I get obviously why people want him on the right because of what he did under Poch, the freedom that he had. It's understandable. I get it, but it's also part of the reason I don't think Maresca's using him correctly, and that's why we're not seeing the best of him in the 10. Because at the end of the day, and from a tactical defensive point of view, when you're defending, you don't want teams in this area. You want them out wide. So if I'm looking at it from a centre-back, and I'm looking at my left back, my right back, and I'm looking at where the game is in front of me, and I can see that the team I'm playing against is always going out wide, I'm happy with that. Because they're not in the centre of the pitch and not directly in front of the goal. And now the best player on the pitch on their team is being isolated because they're not using the middle part of the pitch. I'm happy with that. You're making my job so much easier because you're just playing out wide.
I find it interesting as well because I think we talked about it after the Newcastle game in one of our last videos. I noticed, I think it was in the Aston Villa game, sorry. Cole Palmer was often, I think he was trying to get back into that middle spot like a few times. Like I saw him throughout the game making these movements and these runs trying to get in and around that spot, but it was never coming to him. Do you know what I mean? He'd start the move and he'd pass it to someone and then he'd go into that spot, but then it'd just be funneled out wide again. Do you know what I mean? So it is a bit weird, isn't it, when you think about it? We've got one of the best centre attacking midfielders, and it's not even just about giving him freedom. Do you know what I mean? And that's kind of what I thought before, but looking at this kind of shows me it's not even just he's literally being told not to go into those positions for one reason or another. And he is dropping deep quite a lot, and he's going to be in that purple a lot. Probably spend most of his time in that purple bit, just behind the...
This is where Palmer will probably operate the most, in the half spaces.
Yeah.
Right? This is where you want him, right here in the middle.
Yeah.
But this is where he's probably, and that's why it's contested, and you'll probably get him a little bit more. And how many times you see the ball go out to the winger and you see him peel out to the right and they try and do a little 1-2. So he's pulling himself away into the wide areas.
Yeah, okay.
Which to me, what are you left with in the middle? Then you're left with an Enzo Fernandez and maybe a Moises Caicedo if he's followed up. Or other part of his tactics, who do we see come into midfield all the time? A right back.
Gusto.
Or a left back.
That's true.
Malo Gusto, Cucurella. Look, they've done well at times. Cucurella definitely helped us get through last season. But if you ask, plain and simple, who do you want in the middle? Who's got more chance of scoring your goals or create something? It's Cole Palmer, so get him in the middle and keep him there. Same with the strikers. Liam Delap, João Pedro, where are you most likely going to score a goal from? This part of the pitch? Or this part of the pitch? In the box. So get in the box. What's the point of having the ball out wide and putting crosses in if there's no striker in the box?
Yeah, it's interesting.
It doesn't make... It's almost like they're overemphasising one half of Maresca's tactics, playing out wide, but forgetting about the rest.
Yeah.
Which it's pointless. It's just pointless.
It's like in this Maresca system where we play all of the game in midfield and on the wings. It's like one thing I think is interesting. You can see obviously areas that we are that the opponents are dominating in is also the two corners next to the goal, and that's going to be because we play that back three and get the fullback to go into midfield, isn't it? So we're basically happy for opponents to have the ball in those spots as well.
From a defensive point of view, you want teams playing out wide. So this is playing into the defensive hands. This is why you can see we're not dominant in these areas, because we don't want to be. Because if we're dominant in these areas, then you leave these areas free.
Yeah. Okay.
So
here's a question for you. In this system with the, like I say, all playing in midfield and funneling out wide, who, like in all of the strikers in the world right now, I'm not talking about buying them or anything, not talking about who should Chelsea go for, just of all of the available strikers in world football right now, who is the best striker for Maresca's system, and where does he fit into this? Does he change any of the colours on here, or does he fit into this system as it is and gets these goals?
Look, you stick an Erling Haaland up front, of course, it changes everything. Why? Because even Pep Guardiola, probably one of the best tactical managers of our generations, next to Jose Mourinho, all of that have changed football for what it is. Even he's having to adapt his tactics to play through Haaland more. We've seen a change in Haaland. He's now getting a little bit more involved in the game. He's now... He looks a bit more comfortable in the football, where before it was a lot of just ping it in behind, let him run onto it, because he's physical, he's quick, he's going to do his job. But there's been a tactical switch from not just Haaland, but also from Pep. And if you're telling me Pep is adapting to his strikers, why can't Maresca adapt to the way that his strikers play?
So this is
Haaland,
just...
an Osman would have been fine. If you're going to play on the wings based on his tactics, which is done, so you want to keep the wings, we're expecting lots of crosses, right? So you need a striker that's good in the air.
Yeah, that's true.
You need someone who can header the ball. Otherwise, there's no point putting crosses in. Osman was great in the air. We know Haaland's good in the air. Even Harry Kane would... The thing with Harry Kane is obviously we know the quality he's got with finishing, but he's one of those strikers that like to drop deep, which is clearly a thing with Maresca's strikers, that they like to drop deep. He would work, but what he does is...
So basically what you're saying is, unless we had one
every
of the
striker
three...
we don't have.
If we had one of the three best strikers in the world, then Maresca's system would work.
Well, I suppose any team, it would work. But in terms of profiling, you're going to need someone that's good in the air. So if you're putting loads of crosses in, you need a striker that's good in the air. Now, Jackson wasn't good in the air.
No.
João Pedro's not particularly good in the air. Liam
Delap,
if he was, we don't know. He had one chance to header it yesterday and fluffed it completely. So no strikers that I look at is decent in the air. So it kind of negates the whole playing down the wings and getting crosses in.
So
even our midfielders aren't great in the air.
If anything, it's like Maresca's system in itself is always going to struggle if we don't. Not only a good striker, but one of the best in the world is the only way that this works. I would like to do something actually. What I want to do, and it's interesting because you just mentioned it, I would like to see this same zone of control map, but for Man City. I'd be really, really interested to see the difference there. So that's quite interesting, isn't it? That's quite interesting. So the first couple of things I can spot from that. So this is Man City zone dominance thing. Obviously, going from back to front. So we look at the defence. They are not surrendering those wide areas like we are for a start. And that is probably to do with how they play their fullbacks, because he doesn't always drop to that back three thing, does he? Obviously, they're dominating midfield.
Contested rather than...
Yeah, exactly. So, and that means that they are more present there than we are. Their midfield line is similar to ours. It starts at the same place, the fork. Obviously, it's more contested in the left, but obviously a lot stronger on the right, and they cut inside more than we do. And what I think the most telling thing there is the area in front of the box was dominated by the opposition for us, but for them it's contested. So that shows that they are using that area of the pitch. They're not obviously, if you dominated that, then you'd be scoring a million goals all the time, wouldn't you, at the end of the day?
Yeah, same.
But
like this area here, this is where your defenders, your goalkeepers are. So your dominance is going to be low there. But what you want to see is in and around this area. So they're dominant on the right in the right half space. Contested here. Contested, you can see that they operate more down the right-hand side. And they've got a portion where they are contesting inside the right side of the box, or left side, depending whatever way you're looking at it.
So, I think the fact that they are dominant in that half space and contesting that spot in front of the box, that is the reason that they're scoring so many more goals at the end of the day, isn't it? Because they are dominating that area, which is allowing them to contest that other area. Yeah.
So it's showing that though they might use the wings at some point, how often do you see Man City cross the ball from these kind of areas? Not often. They will obviously, every team's going to put crosses in, but usually they're looking for the little dink balls in these kind of spaces, or they're trying to play the ball through the middle, little 1-2s. Can they, put it in behind? Ryan Shirky likes to operate in this sort of area right here. Yeah. These two sort of spots. At least from the games that I've seen. Again, Man City fans, you'll be able to tell me if I'm wrong. But you can already see, again, from the Chelsea's perspective, we are not even contesting in that area. We're being dominated in that area.
Yeah.
So, look, it's easy to say, buy him all the world's best players, and you'll dominate those areas. It's not the case. We've seen Liverpool buy loads of the world's, what you would be considering the world's best. Well, it's not worked out the same way. But
the argument exists in that, doesn't it? Because they are only contesting that far left side, whereas we are dominating it with a lot worse players. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, they've got Doku, Savinho, Phil Foden that are generally operating on that left-hand side, and we have got Garnacho and Jamie Gittins and sometimes Pedro Neto. So the fact that we're dominating that side with worse players shows you that it's not just about having the players, it's a tactical thing. Pep Guardiola is not putting focus on that side. Do you know what I mean? He is finding his strongest area of creation, which is obviously the right, and obviously they dominate that half space in order to get the ball to their attacker, whereas we are just dominating the wings for the sake of dominating the wings. That's kind of what it looks like.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's telling, again, look, how much, you'll see a lot of this behind the scenes at football clubs, and that kind of imagery will paint a massive picture for them behind the scenes when they're talking tactically to the players and how they want things to be done. I can pretty much see this put on a whiteboard somewhere or something like that, or computer. We probably don't use whiteboards that much nowadays. And show the areas that he wants his football to dominate. And part of the reasons why we see it go out to the wing, and for me, we don't play it quick enough, is they want to try and move the defence around a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
To try and find the pockets of spaces. But obviously, if you're not moving it quick enough, you're not going to remove anyone around.
Yeah.
But because teams are now so understanding of how we want to operate,
they're just going to let us do it.
They're just going to let us play out wide. And there's no switch. There's nothing. There's no change to go. It's not working.
Yeah. That's kind of the fallacy of the whole thing, isn't it? It's like Maresca's tactics are get it out wide, and the opposition's tactics against that are let them go out wide. Do you know what I mean? So in that's why we're struggling so much against Crystal Palace, Brentford, Bournemouth, Leeds. Do you know what I mean? Because we are ultimately playing into their hands, and we're not trying to change it enough, especially against the teams we should be beating, in order to try and let the quality that we've got succeed in the middle, which is where most of the goals come from.
Yeah, and I think a tactical switch of even just switching from having inverting fullbacks to having overlapping fullbacks will still give you that width. You've got the likes of Reece James, who we know can put a quality cross in, but what it will allow is your wingers to come inside. And then we'll see more operation in the middle part of the pitch. That immediately, tactical switch changes that draft.
Yeah,
because now when the wingers are receiving the ball, they're going to cut inside to allow the fullback to overlap.
Yeah.
And then they'll either play out to the fullback, or we'll start seeing a contested area in the middle of the park because now our wingers are coming inside with the ball. They're trying to find the strikers in those little half spaces, in the pockets, dropping the ball on the edge of the box for Cole Palmer. But because they're not, and our fullbacks invert into midfield to become a midfielder, and our wingers have to stay out wide, otherwise we have no width. The ball goes out there. Maresca wants them to go 1v1, and everything comes down the wings again, and we don't see enough.
So when we've got players like Esteval Willian, for example, and Cole Palmer, who in certain tactics can play really well on the right, essentially we are handcuffing their kind of natural ability and creativity and where they can function well in the pitch because of the systemic need to stay wide. And like you say, and this is the thing that drives me nuts, is like when we beat PSG, we did it with Malagusto being an overlapping fullback. Do you know what I mean? It's like was that one-time experiment just to beat that game, but when it comes to all the rest of these games, it's like, now we're not even going to try it. This is what I mean when we talk about, like, you know, for instance, the Aston Villa game, really, really good example. So we were dominant because they put 10 men behind the ball and allowed us to have all of it or whatever. When they switched up and started coming at us, there was no like, right, instead of Malagusto playing as a midfielder coming from left back or right back or whatever, let's get him overlapping so we can try and get Cole Palmer or some of our Pedro Neto inside of that space to try and create and score goals. Because what's happening is they're letting us have all of the ball as and when it suits them. Do you know what I mean? So it's just like possession for the sake of possession and getting it to the wings for getting it to the sake of the wings. And it just shows that Maresca is too dogged in his rigid tactical philosophy when we're not actually seeing results from it at the end of the day.
No, you know, and look, I'm pretty sure we'll get in the comments of people going, well, if you give him the right tools and give him the right players, then maybe he will change tactically. The team is good enough right now to make top four with the players that he's got, and this is what we've been told. Like we said at the start of the video, this is what is expected of him.
100%.
As for us, not good enough, but for the club, that's what they want. He's got the players to do it. He's got the players that can operate in the middle of that park and do better than our wide players. And if our wide players aren't good enough right now, use the players that are good enough, that can create something. But you're only going to do that by doing a tactical switch. And of course, you're going to have to change your tactics slightly depending on what team you're going up against. It's obvious. You're never. And
he does for the big teams, but he doesn't for the I say little teams. I don't like you saying little teams, but for the teams that we're expected to beat. That's the thing, is he's willing to be adaptable when it comes to PSG, Liverpool. I bet. I said this in my review yesterday. We could beat Man City. I mean, but it wouldn't be indicative of a positive turnaround because we've seen this before. We can beat the big teams in the big event in the big moment, but it doesn't matter when you're losing to Leeds and getting 2 points out of Bournemouth over 2 games.
Yeah, you've got, how many times we used to say over the years, like we were doing okay against the little teams, but we weren't doing well against the big teams. And we was like, if we could just do well against the big teams, we'll be fine. It's gone the complete opposite. We're doing well against the big teams and we're doing absolutely poor against teams that we should beat. So I can't, looking at the squad, and I think we're on the same page, we have the players to beat Leeds. We have the players to beat Bournemouth. We have the players to beat Aston Villa. Yeah. So why are we not?
Yeah. And that's where, like I say, I know a lot of people want to, and I understand, like, the argument about the owners and the argument that we're having now about Maresca, for me, are two different conversations. The Maresca argument is about right now. The owners' argument is about why we're not challenging for the title. And I agree with that argument. Do you know what I mean? We're not challenging for the title because the recruitment hasn't been geared towards getting us to challenge for a title. I don't dispute that at all, and I 100% agree with that. And like I say, if we go into next season, well, depends on what happens, but if we were to go into next season with Maresca and he was given similar quality of players again, I still wouldn't feel like we were on for a title challenge, but that'd be 4 years in then, and that's when things are going to start getting a bit more difficult. But as of the conversation we're having very much right now, the reason that we are where we are and we are this close to falling out of the Champions League again and ending up in a position like we were last season where we're going to have to fight until the very last day to secure a spot in it is because of Enzo Maresca, I think.
Yeah, we had last season, we had quite a few players that caused us problems. Robert Sanchez being one of them, who was giving away stupid goals and we were losing points. This season, I've seen more thrown away from our manager than I have from players. Of course, we had the beginning of the season where the defence didn't look that great. But again, whose job is it to get the defence tactically...
Nine different centre-back pairings, man. 9 different centre-back pairings.
Yeah. It took him, 19 games to have a set of centre-backs for like 4 games. And then even then we saw him switch it again. And we had some consistency. We were getting clean sheets, but he decided to change it again. Lo and behold, he changed it for Aston Villa.
Mm-hmm.
We still don't know why. And people go, oh, we can't play Wesley Fofana every game.
Yeah.
It's been Christmas. He's had a break.
He's
not, they were missing training some days because of the Christmas break, so he's had a break. He could have played, but he's put Badiashile in. Who made the mistake? Shock, innit? How surprised are we to see that the player that he switched out is in fact the player that has made the mistake? Now, these things are not the sporting director's fault, and these things are not the ownership's fault, because they haven't made the change. He has.
Yeah, that's true.
So
that's true.
if he desperately needed, why did he not play Josh? He could have played Josh in that, and I would have felt more comfortable, and I probably wouldn't have seen that mistake.
Yeah.
Because Josh probably wouldn't have been in that position. He would have been on the right hand side, and Chalobah would have been there. But anyway, and we've seen it, the red card situations, when we were getting red cards and we were throwing games. This is a Maresca thing.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. So he's random, is it?
Yeah, he's thrown that game.
Yeah.
And we've seen it multiple times this season.
More so than last season, man. That's the nuts thing, isn't it?
That's the thing, and that's why I think there's a regression happening from his. Is it because, like the rumours, and we spoke about at the beginning, because he's had enough, so he's not taking care. He's just doing whatever, which I don't think he would do.
No, one thing that I found really interesting was, I mentioned this in my review as well, is we were actually warned about this by Leicester fans. Do you remember? When we got Maresca, they were like, we were all loving it at the start and the football was great, but he absolutely point blank refused to change, and they won the league in spite of him because they got a really poor run of results. They got the majority of their good points and performances in the first half of the season. What I feel like is happening is Leicester's season split into 2 seasons. We got that good Maresca last year where he was adaptable and he was, unpredictable and things. Even though, we finished 4th ultimately, I still think the team was worse last year than it is this year. And now what we're seeing is that more dogmatic Maresca that is refusing to budge, refusing to adapt, refusing to change. Even he doesn't adapt to the game that's being played in front of him. He's trying to brute force his tactics to win games, and it's not working. And he's not trying. It's like what Vincent Kompany did at Burnley. Do you know what I mean? So, and the thing is, look at that. Vincent Kompany still got the move to Bayern Munich. So, maybe that's one of the reasons he's like, I want people to want my philosophy. But as look, either of us are professionals at the end of the day. We can only break it down as much as we understand football. You much more than me. But at the end of the day, from all of those tables and that what we've just looked at, it's like we can clearly see what the tactic is, but it's obviously not bearing fruit because our strikers aren't scoring goals and they're not getting on the ball enough and they're not getting into attacking positions, and we're not even contesting the points on the pitch where most strikers will score their goals from. Yeah,
and part of the reason, especially in the middle of the park, people say it was probably too congested to operate.
Yeah.
But why is it too congested? Well, it's because we're throwing so many people in there. We're adding an extra right or left back in there. And of course, we've got our 2 holding midfielders that are in there. We've got Cole Palmer's in there. We've got our striker dropping back in there. We've got the other team's players in there. So of course it's going to be congested. So what? Overlap your fullbacks. That takes already a player or 2 out of midfield. You can have a deep lying 6, which Caicedo would be the best at. Though he scores some screamers, I don't look at Caicedo going, you're going to be my creator, you're going to be my playmaker, I want you in and around the box. No, I want the likes of Palmer and Enzo in those seats. So already you've taken away 2 players out of that. Tell your striker to stay up. Stop telling him to drop in.
Yeah.
You've taken another player. So now where we've gone from having 4 or 5 players in one area, we've now opened it up to allow more space for these kind of players to operate. Yeah. But we don't, because the tactic is to congest it, which will then draw in more players from the other team, which will then leave space out for our wingers. Then the ball goes out wide. Then they have space. And that's why when you look at the wingers and they get the ball, you look at it and go, sure, he has a lot of space, doesn't he?
Yeah.
The reason being is because we've drawn everyone into the freaking middle.
Do you know the thing as well? It's like we've got the fullbacks to do that. Do you know what I mean? Malagusto, Reece James, Marco Correa, maybe even Yorahato. But we've got the fullbacks that can play that kind of football. So we're getting towards the end of the video now, and I just want to ask a couple of wrap-up questions. One, well, not really a question, just something I want to mention. Who on the list of Chelsea managers do we know, or potential replacements for Chelsea managers, sorry, if this does happen, who do we know that plays a similar style of football to Maresca but favours overlapping fullbacks over inverted midfielders?
It's not that guy at Strasbourg, is it? You're going to say Cesc, aren't you?
It is.
Cesc Fabregas.
Cesc Fabregas, mate.
I don't see him coming.
I do.
Not now.
I do.
You think? You reckon?
I reckon he's done such a good job at Como, man. I don't think they'd begrudge it either at the end of the day. No. I think it's a gamble, I guess, at the end of the day. Like, any manager's going to be a gamble when it comes down to it, isn't it? But
you're not going to get, as much as we want it, you're not going to get a Tuchel or a Mourinho, they're just not around anymore. And if they are, they're at a club already and probably have just moved, or they're going to be happy. You're now looking at, and other teams, I think we said it in a previous stream, when you look at the top teams in this league, there's only one which you would consider world-class manager that has done the business for years and years and years, and that's Pep at City.
And there's only three
Slot.
in Europe. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
There's Hansi Flick, Luis Enrique, and Pep Guardiola. They're the three that are doing it at the top level.
Is over now, and it's now the new era.
Yeah.
And all these new era managers that are coming through, the likes of Amarins, the Marescas, the Slots, and things like that. So it's going to be a switch. So when you're going out, and if he is going to go, whether it be resign or sack, and it won't be till the end of the season, of course.
No.
You're going to get a new era manager. You are not going to get, and whether we want to accept it or not, that's up to you. It doesn't matter if you accept it or not. It's going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
Unless, even if Tuchel lost the England job by the summer because
they wouldn't have him back,
he's still not coming here. They won't bring him in. That has been dead. As much as I'd love it, because I feel like there's unfinished business, it's not the direction the club's in. It's not the direction that football is going in now. I
think the thing is, I don't want to see Tuchel whilst we've got this ownership. That's the thing. It's like if we had a Roman again or something of that where he'd kind of be backed and given what he needs to win, I'd love to see that. But I don't want to see Thomas Tuchel under this. You know, the only managers I'm thinking about at the moment are ones that would work better than what we've got under what's currently going on. And like we said, man, there's basically only up-and-comers available. Iraola, Glasner, Hertzler, Fabregas, Zinnia, do you know what I mean? It's like these are the guys that aren't, companies at Bayern Munich. Real Madrid have got Xabi Alonso. Do you know what I mean? It's just what's happening everywhere at the moment now, man. And it's going to change football at the end of the day. But I think what we're seeing really is the Premier League clubs enforcing the change of structure across all of the clubs, going from managers controlling everything to sporting directors. I don't think that it will ever revert again. Do you know what I mean? I don't think we'll see the return of managers like, gaffers that control everything and choose the signings. No, I don't think we'll see that come back now. It's also because of the money that's in the game. Exactly. Yeah, it's an evolution of the business side. Yeah, 100%. It's an evolution of the business side of football rather than the actual footballing side of football. Because it comes down to commercial value and profit as much as it does anything, and that isn't. And
it's not how it should be. It's just it is what it is. As much as we'd love it just to be about the football. It's also not specific to just Chelsea. We are just the most egregious example of it right now. That's the truth. I think if I'm honest, I think what we're seeing from Chelsea right now is what we're going to see from basically all the big teams in about 10 years' time. PSG are already doing it. Do you know what I mean? Bayern Munich to an extent kind of already do it because the manager doesn't just come in and choose signings. But Barcelona, we talked about this before. They kind of invented this whole thing in the first place years ago. And I think that this is just the way forward, man. Hiring commercial people and football people to do all of that kind of stuff. So let's start wrapping the video up, Kai. Thank you very much. I've really enjoyed this one. Actually, it's not very often we get quite so doggedly into the tactics, and it does open opens the eyes a bit, doesn't it? there's a lot more tactical nuance, a lot of deep dive that you can go on it, but you'd be spending hours because, as you saw in that picture, it's all squares, and each square has a different tactical adjustment that you can do. You can spend ages on it, and that's just on the whole team. And when you start going into the nitty gritty of players and what it's a different ball game, but it does open your eyes. It sort of gives you some sort of understanding, but again, unless you're a fly on the room or you're sat in Maresca's edge, you're never going to know fully. You just go by what you can see.
I guess the two things it does for me is A, it shows us where the issues are and what we might see with a different manager that could change things up. And ultimately that seems to be allowing our attacking players to dominate or at least contest the better attacking positions. And the other thing it does is if we do keep Maresca, it shows you where he could adapt his team and why what we're doing isn't working at the moment. So yeah, no, really interesting, man. And I hope you guys enjoyed it too. That was our tactical breakdown of why Maresca is a fraud. No, it's not. No, he's not a fraud, man. At the end of the day, like, he's done really well. I just think he's buying into his own hype a little bit too much at the moment in terms of, like, not looking at why have I only won 2 games in 8, which is probably going to be 2 games in 9. Why am I throwing all of these matches away? Yeah. Instead of throwing players under the bus, which is something he has done, previously. It's like it's time to see maybe a tactical shift and try and make something different. So do you know who did that? Pochettino. Got to give that to Pochettino. We had a really difficult start of the season. Pochettino figured out that if he inverts Marco Correa into fullback, he can overload the midfield. And then all of a sudden, we just went on this massive winning run. Maresca needs to do something like that, I think, at the end of the day, doesn't he? Even if it's just one big adjustment or something like that, that allows our Esteval Williams, our Cole Palmers and our João Pedros to get into better attacking positions where they are more likely to score goals, and that could really, really help us turn things around, I think. So, Kai, guys, if you haven't subscribed to the Stanford Sync and you've watched this video, give us a little clickaroo, and also I will be linking Kai's channel Behind the Dugouts in the description as well. As you can see, his actual baller knowledge is much, much better than mine. That's why I like to consult him on these kind of things. So if you enjoy the more tactical side of things and the more analytical deep dives, then 100% go and check out his channel. And there's vibe stuff there as well. So nice one, guys. Thank you, Kai, for sticking around with me until the end of the video, and thank you guys for watching. Take it easy. Peace.